Worst formal interview I've ever been in my life. That's even outside of football. He's so entitled. He takes unnecessary sacks. He never plays on time. He has horrible body language. He blames teammates. But the biggest thing is, he's not that good. This is a
Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, apparently wrote an article on Shedeur Sanders. Said a lot of good stuff, but there were multiple people who did not like Shedeur Sanders' attitude. Now, this is a story now because Shedeur Sanders, over the last week to 2 weeks, we've heard about him dropping in the draft.
20 minutes of my life. I couldn't get, and so I didn't view it as unfair. I viewed it as cutting and caustic.
He needs some milk.
Hey, what do you hear? What do you say? Thank you for joining me today. Guys, there's all kind of drama going with Shedeur Sanders. We got an anonymous GM taking shots at him. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about here. And I wanted to put in my input, put in my opinion, and let you guys know what I think. Now, Shedeur Sanders, I will say, I think in the draft, it's hurting him so far that he's Deion Sanders' son. But ultimately, it may be a good thing that benefits him. I fully expect Shedeur Sanders to slide in this draft. Right now, I really like Pittsburgh getting him at 21, but it wouldn't shock me if he falls out of the first round or he falls to 32, and maybe Eagles capitalize on it, trading back for a team that wants to come up and give him a chance. But I really feel like the negativity to Shedeur Sanders is overblown. He's entitled. He's, spoiled. He's, a bad teammate. All this stuff. It's all BS, in my opinion. Now, I don't know how good of a quarterback he's going to be, but I really believe when you're playing a quarterback or a professional NFL player who has a father who was in the NFL, I feel like that is a huge advantage. You've been groomed from a child to become a player in the NFL. And I really feel like, he has a lot of the intangibles. I've heard so many times, I've heard this kind of stuff about Jalen Hurts. He can't throw, he can't pass, he's not going to make it as an NFL quarterback. Bullshit. Shedeur Sanders has enough talent physically to be a good NFL quarterback. I'm not saying like a top 5. I don't know how good he will be. I'm not saying he's going to be the best quarterback ever. But if I'm betting on a quarterback to succeed, and I know that that quarterback's father was in the NFL as a player, I feel like that is a huge advantage. And I believe we're going to see Shedeur Sanders go somewhere to like Pittsburgh and have a successful career. I believe he will be a successful quarterback in the NFL. And I believe that this negativity, this draft process is only going to strengthen him in the future. It's only going to motivate him to prove people wrong, and it's actually going to probably stop him from going to some crap shit team like the New York Giants, who, let's face it, any quarterback's going to struggle on that team to make it. So the bottom line, guys, I think Shedeur Sanders is taking a beating right now, and part of that's because his father's Deion Sanders, and people feel he's entitled and all that. But I think one of these NFL teams are going to be smart. I think Pittsburgh's a perfect spot for him. I'm personally rooting for him to end up in Pittsburgh. I think it would be a great fit. I feel like the way Pittsburgh conducts itself, the way they run the ball, the way they're always a balanced team, I believe that this would be a really good fit for Shedeur Sanders to end up on a team like Pittsburgh. So if all this negativity results in a team like New York Giants not taking him and him falling down to, say, 21, I think is where Pittsburgh's picking, and them taking him, great. Or even if he falls to 32, somebody else trades up, maybe the Saints trade up from the second round, or who knows? Who knows who's going to take him, where he's going to end up. If I'm Shedeur Sanders, I'm hoping I don't end up in New York. I think New York Giants is a bad fit for Shedeur. So we'll see what happens. Now, listen, guys, I want you to listen to this clip from Skip Bayless' show with Mel Kiper on it, and they were talking about Shedeur Sanders.
Conversations with my friends in the NFL, and I never got the feeling that there was this great love for Shedeur as an NFL prospect, as a quarterback. And I had the same thing. I remember when Boomer, that's why I had him third. He went in the second round. Remember, that was the year Steve Young should have been in that draft. Remember, he went to the USFL and the LA Express. So I guess they felt like there was whatever. It seemed like Brett Favre had a high grade on Brett. He went in the second round, right? You think about Aaron Rodgers. He was considered to be the number one pick in the draft 3 weeks before that draft, went 24. But I go to really Brett Favre getting into the second round when he had a super high grade. Remember, Dan Marino dropped to the end of the first round.
He did.
Okay. So you've had this slide before. And I went back to 1970, Skip, and 6 of the 8 quarterbacks that slid based on my ratings turned out to be pretty good. Really good, okay? And 2 didn't. That was Brady Quinn and Jimmy Clausen in terms of my grades. Now, we'll see what happens with Shedeur. I have him 5 on the board. We'll see where he goes. Does he go 21 to Pittsburgh? Does somebody else trade back in if he gets past Pittsburgh? I can't tell you that, but all I do is he probably will slide a bit. I never got the feeling when I was talking to my friends in the league that they agreed.
So, yeah, I think that's very interesting. 6 of the 8 falling quarterbacks have done much better in the NFL. And that proves my point. The point is you end up in a better situation when you fall because most of the teams in the top 10 are bad teams. They're bad organizations. They're teams that don't have it together, and you're getting stuck. So it's not always good to go top 5, top 10. But when you fall, you go to a organization that's better ran, they draft better, they develop their players better, and you end up going there. That can be a huge benefit. And I believe that's what we're going to see tonight with the Shedeur Sanders pick. Now, I'm very curious. I do feel like it's 50-50. He goes in the second, 50-50. He goes in the first. But I really think Pittsburgh would be smart to take him at 21. I think he's a perfect fit. I think this guy's made to play in the NFL. His father's Deion Sanders. To me, I know some people think that's a negative. I think that's a positive. I think he's been groomed for this moment. I will always bet on a player whose father was in the NFL. I think it's an advantage that he has over other quarterbacks, over other people. The other thing I like about Shedeur is I definitely know that he needs to work on his game. He needs to work on not taking sacks and things of that nature. But he's young. He's going to grow. And a team like Pittsburgh that runs the ball is going to really, really help cover up some of those early struggles and limitations that he may have coming into the NFL. And he can develop a little bit each year and get better and better and better. He has the intangibles. I think his skills are good enough to be a solid quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to be a top 5 quarterback, top 10. I really don't know where his ceiling is. What I do know, guys, is that whatever team drafts him, I believe is going to get a solid, good, starting NFL quarterback. And I believe people are overlooking him. I believe people are downing him because of his father. But in the end, I think all this negativity, this sliding in the draft is only going to make him stronger. If I'm Shedeur Sanders, I hope the Giants don't pick me at 3. I hope I fall, and I hope I end up in a better situation. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for today. Let me know what you think of Shedeur Sanders down below. Where do you think he's going tonight? And do you think he's going to be a successful quarterback in the NFL? Let me know down below. Talk to you later.